beneath the crowded streets of modern Nazareth, hidden under layers of churches, concrete, and centuries of pilgrimage, archaeologists uncovered something extraordinary. Not a palace, not a temple, but a home. A modest limestone dwelling carved directly into the bedrock of Galilee nearly 2,000 years ago. And according to an ancient Christian tradition, this may have been the childhood home of Jesus of Nazareth. But is this discovery genuine history, or simply another sacred legend preserved by faith alone? Because in biblical archaeology, belief means nothing without evidence. Tonight, we descend beneath Nazareth itself to investigate the hidden house under the convent. And what archaeologists found there may completely reshape how we understand the world Jesus grew up in. For centuries, pilgrims walked through Nazareth believing they stood near sacred ground. But few realized that beneath the Sisters of Nazareth convent, there was something buried far older than the church above it. The discovery began almost by accident. In the late 19th century, nuns living inside the convent noticed strange underground chambers beneath the property. At first glance, the ruins appeared insignificant: collapsed walls, buried stairways, fragments of ancient stone. But the deeper excavations went, the stranger the sight became. Beneath Byzantine mosaics, beneath Crusader foundations, beneath Roman-era debris, sat the preserved remains of a first-century home. And not just fragments. Entire rooms had survived. Doorways, storage spaces, living areas carved directly into limestone bedrock. It was as if history itself had been sealed underground. Then came the modern investigations. In the early 21st century, British archaeologist Dr. Ken Dark launched a full-scale analysis of the structure using modern archaeological methods. Laser mapping, stratigraphic analysis, pottery sequencing, carbon dating, ground-penetrating scans, and the evidence began pointing towards something astonishing. The house dated precisely to the early 1st century, the exact lifetime of Jesus. But that was only the beginning, because the architecture itself contained clues hidden in stone. This was not a wealthy Roman villa. It was something far more humble, and far more revealing. The structure had been carved carefully into soft limestone bedrock, a common Galilean building method during the early Roman period. But the craftsmanship stood out immediately. The walls were reinforced with expertly cut stones, the floors leveled with unusual precision, the storage chambers organized with deliberate planning. This was not random peasant construction. Archaeologists began describing it as the work of a skilled builder, a master craftsman. And in the Gospels, Jesus' earthly father Joseph is described using the Greek word tekton, traditionally translated as carpenter. But in 1st century Galilee, a tekton was more than someone who worked with wood. It referred to a builder, a craftsman capable of working stone, timber, and structural construction. Suddenly, the architecture became deeply personal. Visual, slow close-ups of limestone vessels. Then another clue emerged. Archaeologists uncovered limestone water vessels throughout the home. That matters because limestone held enormous significance in Jewish purity law. Unlike clay pottery, limestone was considered resistant to ritual impurity. Jewish families deeply committed to purity traditions often used stone vessels specifically for religious reasons. And this house contained multiple examples, meaning the people living here were observant Jews. Strictly observant. Exactly what historians would expect from a devout Galilean family in Nazareth during the lifetime of Jesus. But perhaps the most revealing feature was the layout itself. The home centered around a cramped courtyard surrounded by compact living spaces, cooking installations, storage pits, work areas, tiny rooms packed tightly together. This was not the romanticized Nazareth often seen in films. This was survival, daily life in Roman-controlled Galilee. And every stone whispered the same question: who lived here? Then archaeologists discovered something even more disturbing. Centuries after the house was abandoned, Byzantine Christians built a massive church directly over it. Not beside it, not near it, directly over it. The structure became known as the Church of the Nutrition, an ancient title connected to the upbringing and childhood of Christ. This changed everything, because Byzantine Christians did not randomly build churches over ordinary homes, especially not in Nazareth. The placement suggested something extraordinary. Early believers specifically identified this house as sacred, possibly as early as the 4th century, long before medieval legends emerged, long before Crusaders arrived, meaning the tradition may trace back remarkably close to the lifetime of the original community itself. But there was still a problem. Archaeology can date buildings. It cannot prove ownership. No inscription says, Jesus lived here. No artifact confirms the family by name. And that is where the investigation becomes uncomfortable. Because scientifically certainty remains impossible. Yet the probability refuses to disappear. Historians rarely deal in absolutes. Instead, they study patterns, probability, context, convergence. And this site contains an extraordinary convergence of evidence. A first-century Jewish home, located in ancient Nazareth, preserved beneath a Byzantine church built specifically to honor Christ's childhood, constructed with the craftsmanship expected from a Tecton household, protected continuously through centuries of Christian memory. Individually, none of these facts prove anything. Together, they become difficult to ignore. And perhaps that is what makes this site so unsettling. Because for centuries, Jesus has often been viewed as an almost mythical figure floating above history. But archaeology forces the opposite perspective. It brings everything violently back to earth. Stone walls, cooking fires, storage pits, crowded rooms, physical spaces where real people struggled to survive Roman occupation. And suddenly, the historical Jesus stops feeling distant. He becomes geographically real, anchored to a place, to architecture, to dirt and stone beneath Nazareth itself. So, is this truly the house of Jesus? The honest answer is no archaeologist can ever prove that conclusively. But that does not mean the evidence lacks power. The house waits. Subscribe, comment, like, share, for more hidden biblical historical stories.